I also blow up on the internet because I fought someone. So
Just so sick.
honestly, it is funny. It is funny because
But for good reason.
yeah, well,
Wasn't she?
yeah. Let me just tell people the story real quick because I
Yeah,
don't
let's
think I've
go.
gotten to really tell my point of view of things.
Yeah.
Is like, you have seen players in our league try to like toughen up Caitlyn or CC. Even when I wasn't on her team.
Nobody expected the toughest player in the WNBA to become the person wiping away tears while talking about basketball. But that is exactly what happened when Sophie Cunningham tried explaining what it feels like to play beside Caitlin Clark, the woman known for battles, bruises, and never backing down suddenly. Had her entire family emotional after revealing one unbelievable detail about Clark's game. So, what did Cunningham see that left a competitor speechless? The answer might change how you view Clark forever.
Now, let me give y'all a fun fact real quick. Did y'all know that Michael Jordan and Caitlin Clark shoe debut games ended with a loss? Look, just let that set in. Because people want to try to clown Caitlin and be like, oh, this is it. Oh, she tried to show her shoe off, her little shoe off, and she lost. And when Michael Jordan released his first shoe, too, he also lost. And I'm saying that to say, y'all do realize this is basketball. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some.
Sophie Cunningham has built an entire career around being the person who refuses to be overwhelmed. She is the player coach's trust when the game becomes uncomfortable, the teammate who embraces the physical battles that others try to avoid, and the competitor who has always measured success by effort before recognition.
There's been a lot of talk about Caitlin Clark being an amazing shooter and just someone we're watching. Have you spoken to her? Do you know her? What do you think?
I mean, I've been watching from afar and understanding just how much of a power she is out there on the court. The cool part is the way that she plays and her range and the level of difficulty on her shots is obviously a very close comparison to the way that I play.
I was going to say Caitlin Clark's been compared.
Throughout her journey in basketball, Cunningham has been surrounded by pressure, expectations, and moments where toughness was the only thing separating success from disappointment, which is exactly why her reaction to playing alongside Caitlin Clark carried so much meaning.
I'm seeing Caitlin Clark go at it with a former Big Ten rival, one might say, in J.C. Sheldon, who at one point tells Caitlin Clark, you can't do that. And Clark says back to her, clearly, if you read lips, I can do whatever the F I want, is what she says to her. Second half, you're seeing on the screen here the moment where Caitlin Clark has what appears to be poked eyes from Sheldon guarding her. And
for someone like Cunningham, admiration is not given easily because she understands the difference between a player who looks impressive and a player who changes the way the game feels around them.
Is Caitlin Clark the GOAT? Greatest of all time without a title? I mean, duh. Yeah. We talked about how great Coach Staley was, right? How authentic she was. What did she say before she left? She gave her an interview after the game, right? Press conference, this and that. There. And the last she said is Caitlin Curry Clark. If you're out there somewhere, and she said, "Yo, you are one of our biggest GOATs. You've changed the game." You guys love to talk about Brianna Stewart and how great she was, right? Taraz, you got who else? You got Maya Moore. All these was phenomenal.
She has spent years competing against some of the best athletes in the world, studying their strengths, testing their weaknesses, and experiencing firsthand how difficult it is to reach the highest level of professional basketball. When a player with that type of experience becomes emotional while describing another athlete, people naturally want to understand what created that reaction. The story begins with Sophie Cunningham herself because her background explains why her words about Clark had so much impact long before she became known as one of the WNBA's most physical and competitive players. Cunningham was simply a kid from Columbia, Missouri, growing up in a family where basketball and athletics were part of everyday life. Competition was not something she discovered later in life. It was part of her environment from the beginning. That it was almost an extension of home, a place where lessons about discipline, sacrifice, and competitiveness were learned naturally. That environment shaped the player she eventually became at the University of Missouri. Cunningham arrived at college, already carrying the mindset of someone who had spent years preparing for a bigger stage. During her 4 seasons with the Tigers, she became one of the most accomplished players in program history, building a reputation around her toughness, scoring ability, and willingness to compete in every possession.
Let's call this a Caitlin Clark hater test. You hear sometimes Caitlin Clark is a bust, or Caitlin Clark is Jeremy Lin, or Caitlin Clark is overrated, or Caitlin Clark is a media creation. And then you go to reality. And then you see the reality of those numbers I just showed on the screen. Caitlin Clark has 3 30-point, 10-assist games. The rest of WNBA history has 4 combined. Caitlin Clark is essentially in her 2nd season.
Her style of play was never based on avoiding difficult moments. In fact, Cunningham seemed to search for them. She embraced defensive assignments against dangerous opponents, fought through physical matchups, and developed the type of mentality that made teammates appreciate her presence and opponents dislike seeing her on the other side of the court. When the WNBA draft arrived in 2019, the Phoenix Mercury selected Cunningham, beginning the next chapter of a career built on proving herself. Unlike some players who enter professional basketball with immediate attention and endless expectations, Cunningham's path was more about earning respect one game at a time. She did not arrive as the face of the league or the player featured in every headline. She was the person who brought energy into difficult situations, the teammate who never backed away from a challenge, and the competitor who made everyone around her raise their own level. She was not always the player receiving the biggest spotlight, but inside locker rooms, her value was understood. That is why her reaction to Caitlin Clark was so interesting. That IT was not coming from someone who had just discovered basketball greatness for the first time. It came from someone who had spent years surrounded by elite athletes and had already seen almost everything the sport could offer.
She shoves Sheldon back, at which point Marina Mabrey comes in and just shoves her, like decks her to the ground. And the officials give a tech to Sheldon for poking Clark, and then they give a tech to Clark for shoving Sheldon, and Mabrey doesn't get ejected. And then later on in the 4th quarter, Clark buries a 3 over Sheldon.
When Caitlin Clark entered the professional game as the first overall pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, the attention surrounding her was unlike anything the league had experienced before. Her college career at University of Iowa transformed her into one of the most recognizable basketball players in the world, and the transition into the WNBA brought enormous expectations. Clark joined the Indiana Fever, while Cunningham remained with Phoenix, meaning they were not teammates in the traditional sense. However, professional basketball has a unique way of bringing players together through games, training environments, and countless moments away from the spotlight. Cunningham had opportunities to see what Clark was really like beyond the headlines. The public version of Caitlin Clark was already familiar to basketball fans. IT was the player who launched 3-point shots from distances that forced defenders to question whether normal defensive rules still applied. IT was the passer who could throw a ball into spaces that most players did not even recognize as available. IT was the competitor who seemed to become more comfortable as the pressure increased. But the version of Clark that teammates and fellow professionals experience is slightly different. Because they see the process behind the performance, they see the preparation before the games, the attention to detail during practices, and the constant desire to improve even after achieving things most players spend their entire careers chasing. That difference between the public image and the everyday reality is what makes Cunningham's story so powerful. The highlight plays are impressive, but professional athletes are often more impressed by what happens before those moments ever exist.
Like I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of like, no, we're gonna prove her, we're gonna show her what the W really is. You know what I mean? And like, I get it to a certain extent, and like every rookie comes to the league, that's how you're gonna treat them. But there's just more for her. So it's her second year, and like now being on her team and like seeing it, I'm like, what are people doing? Like, actually, it's just too much, and like it's just. I'm over. And if I'm saying it's too much, then it's probably too much.
Players who have shared the court with Clark frequently mention the same qualities. They talk about her ability to read situations before they develop, her understanding of spacing, and her unusual ability to recognize opportunities before everyone else realizes they're there. A normal passer reacts to what is happening. Clark often appears to anticipate what will happen seconds before it unfolds. She sees a teammate beginning a movement, notices a defender shifting slightly out of position, and delivers the ball into the exact area where the play is about to exist. For the player receiving the pass, the experience can feel almost strange because the opening sometimes appears before they even realize they created IT. IT is the kind of basketball intelligence that is difficult to teach because it comes from years of studying the game and processing information at an extremely high level. Caitlin Clark's ability under pressure is another reason experienced players have been impressed. When defenses become more aggressive and opponents design specific strategies to limit her opportunities, she often finds another solution. That ability is what separates talented players from truly special ones. A great athlete can dominate when conditions are favorable, but a rare athlete finds ways to create success when everything around them is designed to make success difficult.
They changed the game, and every they have it. Like this old girl.
Like there it is.
Every barbershop talk, right?
Yep.
Those are real sports conversations, right?
About
from my background, from my culture, right? It's LeBron, it's the Lakers, it's Patrick Mahomes. Nah, it's Caitlin Clark. She's changed the game. I haven't seen no player in basketball other than one dude, and he got 4 championships, and he's one of the GOATs, Steph Curry. I haven't seen nobody like her. And the last thing I'm going to say is about why she's the GOAT without a championship.
For Cunningham, watching that process from close range created an entirely different appreciation. She was not simply watching a famous player make impressive highlights. She was watching another competitor operate at a level that challenged her understanding of what was possible. The moment that stayed with Cunningham was not just one particular shot or one spectacular pass. IT represented something bigger. IT was the realization that she was witnessing a player whose preparation, creativity, and confidence combined in a way that felt unique. Trying to describe greatness is often harder than witnessing it because memories and emotions do not always fit neatly into words that a person can explain the statistics, describe the highlights, and repeat the details of a game. But sometimes, the true meaning of a moment exists beyond the numbers. That was the challenge Cunningham faced. She was not simply trying to explain a basketball play. She was trying to explain what it felt like to be close enough to witness something extraordinary while fully understanding the difficulty behind achieving it. And that was why the emotions became so powerful. The reaction was not about sadness, disappointment, or frustration. IT was the kind of emotion that appears when someone finally finds the words to describe an experience that has been sitting inside them.
Just because she lost that game, that doesn't say that she's not gonna have a great career. She's not gonna be the best WNBA player of all time. She got a great chance to become that. I don't think a lot of you realize, like, y'all think any little thing that happens negatively for Caitlin is like the end of the, WORLD. Like, and it's just like, stop, like, get a grip. It's really kind of like sad at this point, man. But just know, these two have a lot of similarities.
Cunningham was moved because Clark changed the way she viewed the possibilities of the sport she loved. For a player who had spent years fighting, competing, and sacrificing to reach the highest level, seeing another athlete expand what seemed possible created a rare moment of appreciation. IT was a reminder that even professionals who have mastered their craft can still be amazed. Even athletes who understand the difficulty of greatness can still encounter something that feels extraordinary. And that is what made Cunningham's story resonate with so many people. It showed that greatness is not only measured by trophies, statistics, or records. Sometimes its greatest impact is seen in the reaction it creates from the people who understand it best. The reaction from Sophie Cunningham also revealed something important about the way Caitlin Clark has influenced the people around her since entering the professional game. For someone who has competed at the highest level, statistics alone are never enough. To create genuine admiration, professional athletes see talented players every day. They understand that athletic ability is only one part of becoming special, because maintaining excellence requires discipline, preparation, and a mindset that remains consistent long after the excitement disappears.